Before we even begin, understand this. This isn't a restoration of an old car. This is a restoration of 1903 engineering. This machine existed when roads were barely paved, when racing meant surviving, and when cars were still experimental inventions. The Dion-Bouton wasn't just a manufacturer, it was one of the pioneers of early automotive competition. Back then, speed was dangerous, raw, and completely unfiltered. And today, we're watching a full ASMR restoration of one of those machines. No music, just tools, metal, history, and patience. Let's see how they bring a 120-year-old racing relic back to life. The condition of this car tells a story. Exposed metal, surface corrosion, oxidized brass fittings, wooden structural elements aged and cracked. Cars in 1903 weren't built like modern vehicles. There was no aerodynamic wind tunnel testing, no carbon fiber, no electronic stability control. It was mechanical simplicity and brute courage. The wheels alone, thin spokes, narrow tires. Imagine racing on dirt roads with that setup. This restoration isn't about performance upgrades, it's about preserving authenticity. And that's where things get difficult, because modern techniques can easily erase historical integrity.
Okay, I'll release the tension on the rear straps now.
The way they're disassembling this is careful, slow, intentional. With something this old, you don't force bolts loose, you persuade them. Every screw is original. Every bracket has survived more than a century. The ASMR element makes this even more immersive. The sound of tools against antique steel, the brushing of rust, the light tapping of components being freed after decades. They're not just taking apart a car, they're uncovering decisions made by engineers in 1903. That mindset changes everything. Look at that engine. Simple by today's standards, but revolutionary for its time. This engine doesn't have complex electronics, no ECU, no sensors, just mechanical timing, combustion, and raw engineering. Restoring this requires understanding how early internal combustion systems worked. Fuel delivery, ignition timing, lubrication, all done manually. And notice how they clean components without over-polishing them. That's important. Over-restoring can make a historic vehicle lose character. In modern restorations, people chase perfection. Here, they're chasing authenticity. That's the difference between restoration and rebuilding. Early cars often used wood in their structure. That's something most people don't realize. Wood ages differently than steel. It cracks, warps, absorbs moisture. Restoring wooden components requires craftsmanship, not just mechanical skill. You can't just replace it with modern material and call it done. If you do, you destroy originality. The way they sand and treat the wood, preserving grain rather than replacing it, shows respect for the era. This is historical conservation disguised as car restoration. Look at the brass detailing, headlamps, fittings, steering components. Back then, cars were almost decorative pieces. They had character. The polishing process here is satisfying, especially in ASMR format. The slow reveal of shine under oxidation. But again, there's a fine line. Too much shine, and it stops looking 1903. Too little, and it looks neglected. Balance is everything. These wheels are unbelievably narrow compared to modern standards. Imagine racing with these on uneven roads. No traction control, no ABS, no safety cage. Restoring them properly means ensuring structural integrity while maintaining original appearance. Back then, racing wasn't about milliseconds. It was about bravery. This car represents that era of fearless engineering. There's something powerful about watching antique parts come back together. Every bolt tightened feels symbolic, like reconnecting the past to the present. The ASMR sound design here really works. You hear the subtle mechanical clicks. No distraction, just craftsmanship. And now comes the real moment. If this engine fires up, that's history breathing again. The sound won't be aggressive. It won't be loud like modern supercars. It will be mechanical, raw, almost fragile. And that's beautiful. Because this is where modern automotive culture began.
This wasn't just about fixing an old machine. It was about preserving the roots of motorsport. The 1903 Dion-Bouton represents the birth of competitive driving, when innovation moved faster than safety. And watching it come back to life reminds you how far engineering has evolved. But also, how much courage those early drivers had. Would you drive this on a modern road? Or would you preserve it as a museum piece forever?
We're carefully removing the grime accumulated over decades on this We're carefully cleaning these Dion-Bouton mudguards, working around the peeling areas to preserve as much of the original yellow paint as possible. The rust converter is applied directly to the corroded areas. This milky white solution chemically stabilizes the rust. This meticulous wet sanding of the primer is the critical step that separates quality restaurant from amateur attempts. As the first color coat dries, the vibrant yellow finish begins to cure. The slight texture The paint restoration phase is complete, marking a major milestone in returning the 1903 Dion-Bouton to showroom condition. Direct illumination reveals severe scoring and corrosion within the cylinder bore. The piston crown shows significant carbon deposits. We start by carefully removing the smallest fittings. It's crucial to document where every piece of this 1903 Dion-Bouton carburetor came from. seized leaves are separated, cleaned of rust, and coated. We then reassemble them with new brass bushings. We meticulously check the balance and tension of each restored spoke, ensuring flawless operation for the 1903 Dion-Bouton. The wheel restoration phase is complete. All 4 wheels from the 1903 Dion-Bouton. Now we begin the final dashboard assembly, carefully mounting the instruments, connecting the wiring, and securing the wooden trim. Does that look centered to you?
Yes, push it back slightly. There. Okay, I'll start the bolts.
Every detail, from the refinished wooden dashboard and brass instruments to the period-correct wiring, highlights the meticulous craftsmanship involved.